Guys, this is Mark Black. This is Mark Teaches Music, and this is To Play and Sing, episode number 73. So the point here is to help you fix, me too, but to help you fix all the things that are holding you back: guitar, flute, sax, oboe, voice, keyboard, mandolin, ukulele, songwriting, performing, being in groups, being in big groups, being in orchestras and bands, and that is concert bands, being in rock bands and jazz bands and country bands and praise and worship bands and leading praise and worship and singing in harmony and a thousand things that are possible. Hey TDB, thank you for being there. Okay. So anyway, ask me something. I have the chats right there, and until I hear from you chatting, which is a word I detest, chatting. Until I hear from you chatting, I'm going to go through things that happens with some students this week, or things with students this week. So anyway, first to tell you, last week, number 72, we talked about how to develop a genuine performance persona. That is, for various reasons, you're nervous or you don't really know what to do when you perform, to adopt what somebody else does, and particularly the people that you love, and you think these people are cool. Find somebody that you love, thinks a great musician, and they're exciting. And so let's see here. I'm getting a thing about my stream health looks extremely awesome. I still got that thing, so I'm going to ignore them. So anyway, so we talked about that. We talked about how to manage the tension of, which I say a bunch, is like when you perform and when you play, have fun. Fun is not quite the goal. I just notice when I'm trying to imitate somebody who's great rather than be somebody who's great, it's like I'll play and improvise and better because I'm just like, oh, this is not real, even though it is real. It's like I do better. And then on the other hand, opposite of that is like, well, a lot of times I'm not as sharp and exact, that I play that rhythm right, that I do these things exactly, these details exactly correct. So the tension between how to have fun, be yourself, as at the same time to be precise and get things right. There's a tension there. We talked about that. Talked about ways to be more free and creative. How to have a fuller tone as a vocalist, have a full tone. And I would just like to mention that on the screen in front of me, I have a dark brown shirt on, but actually it's a beautiful, lovely wine. It's a lovely wine color. Yes, beautiful in every sense. So anyway, how to have a fuller tone, much fuller tone. The difference between this, which is normal, and of course, not all styles require that. And that was part of the discussion. So how to connect random learning, this, and this, and this, and this, but can you have you connected that into a logical whole that's helping you play? And that led me right to saying you should take online lessons with me, or private lessons with me, or in-studio lessons with me. And if you're interested in doing that, you can leave me a link here, but you can also contact me at Mark@DallasMusicLessons. That's an email address. Or you can go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com, and there's information there about taking lessons and, me and stuff like that. So anyway, but the point was how to connect all those areas, and it's really hard. It's really hard because it's just so many things in music. They're in hindsight, oh, I could have done this. I already knew how to do this, didn't know how to apply it. Anyway, it's just a conundrum, a puzzle. Let's see, we talked about, it's so true too, the difficulties facing musicians who have wide interest or skills, lots of skills, or as more specifically, or as specifically, lots of musical styles they love and are skilled in. And then it's like, how do you turn that into a marketable skill that somebody wants to either hire you or use you, or even how do you get good at all that when you had literally 10 different styles and stuff, or even instruments or whatever. And it's quite difficult. And then we talked about enthusiasm versus precision, not just being so. And I talk with students all the time, like our goal, talking about lessons, but the point is your goal is not so personality-wise, we may get to that again today. But some people, basically, if left to themselves, they would spend a year to perfect 2 songs. It's like 2 songs. Oh my gosh, they're so awesome. But that's just such a little tiny amount. And the other person's like going to say, okay, I'm going to do 200 songs in a year. And so we want to get in the middle. That is where we're working on quite a few songs, more than 2. But the idea, of course, is not any of those. The idea, what everyone wants, is I want, you want, we want to ice cream. No, wait. I want, you want, we want to be able to play any song that we want, and not a certain song or certain set of songs, but all the songs. Can't really quite do that, but many, 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 many hundreds and even thousands of songs. So anyway, that. Okay, so now on to people's. Looking over there, there's nothing over here except TDB. And so these are things that people brought up. Actually, Saturday. What's today? Wednesday. Yes. So when you mess up, whether I'm not talking about making a mistake, I'm talking about when you don't practice, or you're not practicing like you should, or you're not practicing enough. Basically, you feel guilty. Most people feel guilty about that. I have a few students that don't, and they should. But the point is, for most people, guilt is just ridiculous. It's not. And look, everybody, including me, can be a bum. I should have practiced. I should have done this. I could have been a contender. I should have practiced. Should have done what I was supposed to do, and I'm not. And so it's like I truly am a bum. Like I knew what to do. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to stop what I do. I didn't want to quit playing that game, whatever. So now let's talk about other folks. I mean, I know I've been a bum. So whether you're a bum, whether the things of life, people get sick, family members get sick, money goes, like I can't afford for lessons, or I can't afford, I'm making stuff up, studio time, the things I need. And regardless of the reason, your fault, or life's fault, or just messed around and it's whatever, it's a week later and you didn't practice like you should, the guilt is not usually productive. A mild pressure that you're fixing to have a lesson, you have a gig, you fixing to go to band practice, or tomorrow, so you're like going to get your part together. That's all reasonable, but I'm thinking of students, and there's multiple students that really they're kind of shut down because of feeling guilty. They feel bad about not practicing. And of course, one sense, like, well, yeah, of course you do. But the other sense is, how does that help me to feel bad, so bad that I won't play, I won't sing, I won't practice my instrument? How's that helping me feeling bad if I won't even get to the instrument because I feel so bad about it? So I want to tell you, you're free. If you feel guilty, you should just forget that guilt and just jump right in where you are. So you didn't practice for a year, so you didn't practice last week, so you didn't practice for a month. Just jump in and don't mess up the next week and the next year. Jump in right now. Just forget that and don't feel guilty at all. Just jump in. There's no penance. We're not going to do, and I meant to add it as a statement. Don't try to do penance. If you miss 4 days, don't try to practice 4 days worth for a day to get caught up. Just say it's gone. Cool. Let me just jump in where I'm supposed to be. And of course, that's we're talking about general things, as opposed to I got a gig in 2 days, type thing. I gotta, so where you really do need to get things together. But for most people, just ignore the guilt. It's just water under the bridge, and jump right back in. So anyway, and don't worry about that, because again, it seems to me that what settles people in music, make them successful, is it helps to have a wealthy spouse, by the way. But other than that, it really helps you to just keep going. That is, you miss a week, you miss a day, you miss a month, and just you come to your senses and you go, wait a minute, or things chill back down, you jump right back in. That's what ends up making a musician. Yes, I think, I've always thought, or for long time, have thought, hey man, somebody could learn what I know, being a musician, professionally I'm gonna count music school, I guess, for, what would that be, 50 years, yes, and then really being and performing musically for another 5, 6 years before that. I think somebody could do what I do in 5 years, of steady practice. Like, man, and it's a lot of practice, a couple hours a week. A couple hours a day. Sorry, 3 hours a day. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just stating. I think you could get where I was, am pretty quickly if you just buckle down and get to it. I do think that. But that's not necessarily right or a good distribution of time. And I'm saying that more from an encouraging standpoint. Like, look, you can become very, very good very quickly as you settle down. But anyway, if you mess up, just jump in. So maybe you messed up, and you could have been here where you want to be. You stepped out for a month. Okay, well, that's okay. Your debut will be a month later. It's no problem. So So second thing, another person, and so many students, and me too, like the difficulty of playing, or playing, or there's mandolin, there's ukulele, about like that, guitar, bass, Anyway, of playing and singing at the same time. I remember the first time I played the bass and sang, I thought my head would blow off, because it just seemed like there's this crazy, I couldn't get, my head is singing something in my hands. It's like I could only get one. It was coming out okay, but it's like, I could only pay attention to the head or the bass. But anyway, my point is that is playing and singing is at the same time. An instrument as you sing is difficult, and it's difficult with great reason. It's like one from your head up is one person singing, and from your head down is another person playing, and making that coincide into a wonderful performance is quite difficult. But it is only an issue of coordination, so it's like patting your head and rubbing your stomach on steroids. So I'm telling you that you can do that, and you can do it well. And so it's predictable and fixable. And just to say it quickly, first thing if you're trying to do that, having trouble with that, what you should do is, I'm not talking about you're presented with a song, you have to do this, but say you're just trying to work on this in live. So what you would do is, you pick a very simple song that you think is very boring, and you get to where you can play the instrument part well, whatever the instrument that is, and then you try to add and the voice, and it might be just a measure, it might be two measures, it might be the chorus, and you could simplify that instrument part to where it's just, my baby takes the morning train. She called them da 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 da. Where'd that come from? I don't know. Da 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 da. That's your part. You're not playing anything cool. This is piano, in case you're wondering. And then, or maybe like a dead ox down here, and I'm squishing on him. Nope, it's a piano. So the point is you make what your accompaniment very, very simple. Take a small chunk and just work on that measure, 2 measures, 4 measures, until that becomes natural. And that's the way. And then I see people perform, and they are John Gum. I know that's a name you all know, but he's really good. You should look him up. Great guitar player. He calls it what he does, percussive guitar, which it is. He's smacking on it and hitting it, and he does this incredible stuff. And then he starts singing on top while he's still doing all that. So it's like, good gracious. So I see people, not a whole lot of people, but a good number of people who are doing really intense things as they sing. I can do some pretty good things, as I sing. What I noticed is I am less creative, like adding little licks. I'm not saying that other people aren't, but I'm less creative because I'm playing the guitar or whatever and adding licks and things. But it's less of a lick or less of a vocal lick when I'm doing the two together. So let me suggest this to take this a step up from just basic coordination. Is that when I do work on a song that involves me singing and playing, I will work on the instrument part by itself. I'll work on the voice part by itself. And then I put the two together. And I'll try to keep doing that a lot because I find that I'll get a lot more creative, a lot more interesting licks and things if I will pay attention, separate them, and then put them together. And then I can, if I did something cool with the voice, I can remember, oh, that was cool, let's do that again. And then same thing with the instrument if that play. Well, that was cool trying this thing. Oh yeah, that was and so while I'm just doing on the instrument, like okay, remember that thing or practice that thing, that creative thing that came in my head, and remember that when you put the two together. And so the okay, so that's that about playing and singing, and then let's see. So there are this next thing is there are many kinds of. This is just kind of a side, but it's just fascinated me always that people come in and be like, whatever their music that they love, they'll be like, they'll name drop a, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. Or they'll be like, well, I like so and so, and I'm like, most of the time I know who they're talking about, but maybe a tenth of the time I'll be like, you know, I don't know who has the last idea who they're talking about because music. There's so here's my see my screen. There's so many kinds of music, and there's so many insular, you know, pieces to it. So if you said jazz, then you got smooth jazz. All the jazz guys are but you got cool jazz, and you got East Coast jazz and West Coast jazz, and you got. It doesn't matter what I could pick. I could say rock, or I could say modern rock or contemporary rock, or we used to say what was the big thing? Alternative. Yeah, that was the big word back in the 90s. And the point is, no matter what you pick, if you pick Zydeco, if you pick polka, there are camps of polka, there's styles of polka. There's like camps meaning we don't play Zydeco like they do up north in Shreveport. So there's all kind of either factions or circles would be the better way to see it. These people are doing their thing. It's amazing. There's all kind of variation, but they don't even notice this other circle or group. And so anyway, I don't have a conclusion about that. I just think it's interesting that plenty of people do not know who the Beatles are. Plenty of people do not know who Maroon 5 is. Plenty of people do not know who Conway Twitty is, or Louis Armstrong, or Angine de Poitrine. Angine de Poitrine. I'm going to go with that. And if you don't know them, then you're proving my point. I know you didn't know some of those people because very few people know all those people. Well, I don't know. Conway Twitty and Angine, those are unusual references. But anyway, the point is, lots of different kinds of music. They're not in any sense mutually exclusive, but they are different kinds of music. So I'm saying be open, and there's no point in name. Lots of people won't know what you think is the best musician of all time or the best kind of music of all time. It's fascinating to me that comes up again and again and again. So, okay, and now, next thing, another student, which I've mentioned, everything I say I've mentioned before, it's something, sometime in the last 40 years, and that is, listen, if you're trying to, particularly licks, yes, everybody thinks of soloing, listening to this guy, which is great. What you should do, listen to them, learn the licks, but people don't think about it as near as much about, okay, do that for accompaniment. You're playing the ukulele, you're playing the mandolin, you're playing the guitar, you're playing the bass, you're playing the piano. What do I do in this song? Well, why don't you, I'm not being mean, listen to that song and what does the piano player do? What does he do? And a good arrangement of a song. I'm thinking right now of both. I'm thinking of a certain student doing a written classical. No, I'm sorry, not classical. It's a jazz piece, but it's written, and all these cool things are happening. They're written. Somebody said, "I will do this," and they wrote it down. And it's like there's harmonies, there's walking bass lines, there's fills, there's chord extensions, making the chords more interesting, and all kind of stuff. And it's like you can listen directly. I'm thinking about just jazz play-alongs. And I actually saved over here. I wonder what the chances are. There you go. Look at that. Let's make my face light up. Let's just see what this sounds like. I'm just trying to grab. I love this. I don't have any idea what this is going to sound like. This. Let's see. See if you can hear this. I don't think so. Check it out. Give me a second here. I don't think you can hear that because it's not showing up on my screen, so I'm going to stop it. Anyway, the point is, I'm listening to a song, music is playing, and I was listening to this group, and what did they do? What did they do? So it's like, what did the bass player do? You know, I realized that you can listen to something and it'd be like way over your head. I think in two ways that you could, anybody, me included, could get lost or just like, it's hard to follow. And one is, this is so much, the piano player is doing something so much faster than me or harder than I can do that I can't follow him because it's like, it's way more than I can do. A second thing would be lots of times I'm listening to a band and it's just me. I'm going to accompany myself or just me and this one other person. So, and again, when we do that, we're taking the bass part and the drum part, and if I was playing the piano, I was taking the guitar part, and you're taking all this whole band of 6 people, let's say, and turning it into one instrument. And that's challenging if you haven't done that before. Truly, it is. So I'm saying if over your head, that's hard. How do you listen to that guy and do what that guy did? And if it's taking all of these parts, I say 2 or 3 other parts, and turning it into something that fits the same, if it's for just the one voice, then that's harder. But you can learn to do that. You get in there and you try, and discover it didn't work, but it's okay. So all right, I have enough time today to talk about real quickly, just to mention, I don't understand a lot of things that people do and about teaching and about music, learning music happens. And one of them, I know you were wondering, but is that, and I said in these live streams, that is people's personalities and how dramatically, in my, not in any kind of negative sense, but in my mind, I'm actually teaching really just like 4 students, with different names. I've got SJs, SPs, NTs, and NFs. And we'll talk about that maybe here in a second. But they have the same, a very similar outlook, each of these different kinds of person. And this is an SJ who plays the guitar, an SJ who sings, an SJ who plays the piano, an SJ who's in the jazz band. And they have their idiosyncratic personality of who they are and just what they like. And then they have their instrument issues or benefits, or whatever. But then they share a very common outlook. What is successful to them, what are the pitfalls for them, what's exciting, what's boring. That those are grouped together. So let me just say, I said last week or 2 weeks ago, I said you can go to my website, dallasmusiclessons.com, and go to resources, which is right across the top there, and click your musical personality. And the point is it'll just give you some questions and help you separate. But let me just describe the personalities real quick. There's SJ, which stands for sensory judge. It's hard for me to, I make fun of these. I make fun of everything, including myself. So the SJ, the purpose of life, I'm just giving you some of the musicians, really about we can call them, well, anyway, at least 25% of musicians are SJs. And to them, the purpose of life is to be faithful and responsible, to do duty, to do what's required, to be there when people need you. That is a reliable person who does what they're supposed to do. Now, I want to mention, if we take this into music, what does that mean? That means these people like clear instructions. I want to do what I was told to do. Just because of society today, near as many people are into classical music. For various social reasons, societal reasons. But they would, if this was 60 years ago, they'd love classical music, love being in a concert band, play my part, written jazz band, a written part, play my part, and I just want to play my part. And those people generally do not want to show off. They don't want to be, they want to be a solid part of a group. But they don't want to be the front man. They want to be back doing their stuff. And this is a bass player. A lot of bass players have this personality. So I'm doing my bass part or whatever part, doesn't matter the instrument, doing it really well. but it is not showing off, and but it's competent, and so those people, they would gravitate, for example, to those situations. They would have trouble if I say to them, "Hey, improvise for me." A lot of them would be like, I don't want to do that, and I don't know how to do that, and don't you tell me how to do that, because that's not what I want to do. I don't want to make something up. I want to do what I was told to do. I want to play what I'm supposed to play, which is in big quotes, because supposed to play means if we listen to the same great rock group play the same song 16 times, most rock groups are going to get at least 4 to 8 versions of that. That the bass player didn't play the same thing on measure 17 as he did, the last time. So anyway, there's the SJ. And there's a whole lot more about that. Then there's the SP. And those are very rare in lessons. But those are supposed to be the best performers, the most easy or freest performers and easily to perform. And that's a sensory perceiver. And these people like to live on the edge, and they like to take risks, and they like to have fun. And the purpose of life is to go through life and experience, grab all the gusto and have a lot of fun. And they don't want to prepare, and they don't want to and preparing for things. And so, like, for example, practicing is a killer, because that's preparing. I want to live in the moment. I want to do this right now. I want you ready, go, play your solo. And so you can imagine that how the both the benefits and negatives of that are. It's like, well, if you can't practice because it's not being in the moment, then how are you going to get good? However, when an SP practices, when he does practice, sits down and learns his part, he could sit down and play that part over and over for 3 days, 10 hours a day, and never feel like he practiced, because from his standpoint, he's in it, he's doing it. I'm doing this. And so these people are the best automatic performers. That is, they play the best. Doesn't mean they understand the most, anything like that. Or they're the most musical, although there can be all those things, musical and understand a lot. But so anyway, and very few of them take lessons because of the prepared. I'm taking lessons on preparing, I'm getting ready, and or they, in my experience, they don't take more than a month of lessons, So anyway, and then there's the NT. That's my personality, which means not tough. No, not thinking. No, it means intuitive thinker. So, and these people think the purpose of life is to master skills and abilities, and this gives you power for good over people, material, resources, and technology. And that power for good enables you to accomplish great things. Purpose of life is to accomplish great things. So anyway. So the NT personality can be musical. The intuitive part helps for them to be musical. And then, just by the way, their problem musically is that in their life they've slotted everything into a priority. This is the second most important thing in my life, the 42nd thing most important thing in my life, the 33rd. They're not thinking that consciously, but that's kind of an order. Everything that comes in life is like, where does this fit and what all I have to do? So anyway, a lot of them don't prioritize music high enough for them to develop the skills they want. Now, they can do things, and there's a tendency there to elevate remember I'm an NT, how giant their brain is. They're so darn smart. And so it's like, well, I didn't practice this last 2 weeks, but I'm just going to brainiac it out. It's going to be great because I'm so darn smart. And then functionally, that big old brain is worth about a letter grade. So they're at a 2 level. Sorry, the number 2 came up over here. They're at a C in terms of what they've done, and they can get it to a B, but they're not going to get a C to an A. And that's just so the B2 problem would be to enhance illogically, you big NT, illogically enhance what they can do with their mind over this music. That requires physical skills. I have to be physically skilled. I can't just mentally do it. And then they also can prioritize music low enough. It's just one of the things I'm doing. It's not, that they won't get the skills. Conversely, they can be very good at understanding music, and at grasping the concept of performing, at improvising because of the intuitive. And the last personality is NF. No fun. No, that would be NF song. No, is a intuitive feeler. And the purpose of life for them is to be yourself, to be real, to be the person that God created you to be in life. Is a journey of discovery. Who am I? It's not like I am this, but I'm becoming this, or I'm learning to become this. And so those people are extremely good at songwriting. Other people are good at this, but they're naturally good at songwriting. They're good at improvising, expressing themselves, making music and alive. I'm talking about having fun. And this music was, beautiful and exciting and all these good things. And that's the purpose of music. And that is the purpose of music. And then just mentioning a negative of that personality, a problem they have, would be like, well, and just like what I was talking about with the NT a second ago, it's like, well, you have to master enough skills, that you can play the wonderful music that's in your heart. So it's not just, you can't just be like, and many of them will be like, I'm so genuine and sincere, and this is the truth, and I'm expressing myself, that somehow it must be great. But it might be, but probably will require some skills, as well as some skills that require development for everybody. So anyway, point is, watch out, be aware of, and learn about your personality in music, and how that affects you, both what is a success for you, what's a bummer for you. And so the point is, we would have the things that you're successful at, and you'd be like, well, we can magnify those. And the things that are difficult for you, many of those things can be augmented. That is, you pay more attention to those things that you're weak in than somebody else would that was strong in that area. And all of that just about becoming a better musician, because, we have, I can't play my scales well, so let me work on my scales. I can't hit high notes, so I'm going to work on my range to hit higher notes. And I have a problem with practicing in detail. I'm making that up, but just like some personalities really would have that. And it's like, okay, I'm going to figure out strategies to do better at that than I would otherwise, to help me in the areas that are weak. Okay, well, anyway, there you go. That's a very, very broad synopsis of the issues with the musicians of various Myers-Briggs, Kiersey Bates, temperament sorter, NFs, NTs, SJs, and SPs. And so there you go. So let's see what we talked about. We talked about no penance if you mess up. We talked about if you're playing and singing, to first off, to make it very simple to do, and then so it's easy to do each part, even boring, put them together. And then we talk about, even as a good musician, somebody normally does that, you may want to, and I do, practice the instrument by itself, the voice by itself, and put them together so that the voice would be more creative in discovering things, and the instrument would be more creative in discovering things. We talked about lots of different kinds of music, and only in the sense that very likely there are many people who really never heard of, don't even know anything about your favorite artists and my favorite artist. If I ask somebody who's 20, have you heard who Steely Dan is? They don't know who that is, and that's not their fault. But anyway, so we talked about to listen to your for what to play for accompaniment, to listen to the album, to the music. And we talked about there's two problems with that. One is, what if the music you're listening is way over your head, you can't figure it out. And we talked about let's see, what was the thing? I think it was the two problems, that if too hard, and the other thing would be, I don't know, something else. it's on this recording here. And let's see. Okay, that's it. We talked about these personality types. So I'm Mark Black. This is Mark Teaches Music. This is our To Play and Sing live stream. You could take live lessons, online lessons, or in studio lessons. Mark at Dallas Music Lessons. That's right, Mark at Dallas Music Lessons, or go to my website, www.dallasmusiclessons.com. And